It's the backbone of a student's academic record, everything from classes and grades and degrees posted and everything that goes on in between that. My team is, I said a team of 10 analysts, but our primary responsibility is not reporting, it's maintaining the PeopleSoft student records processes and systems. That's what we spend most of our time doing. We're responsible for setting up the term and session calendar, the grading basis. We run all of the processes that enroll students, drop students, post their degrees, all of those things. That's what we're doing on a day-to-day basis. Reporting is just a small fraction of that, but because we have such close knowledge of the processes that are creating and updating these records, we're able to leverage that pretty easily to help provide data about it to others. We're also responsible for security, both for PeopleSoft security roles, for end users, all the row level security that goes along with it. And we act as data trustees, which we're really data stewards, to provide access to data warehouse, ODS, and for applications that need formal access to student records for protected information. So all of those things we're doing every day. And like I said, reporting is not the major thing that we spend our time on. So what that means is we're not able to create custom reports for everybody in the entire university. We just don't have the time or the resources for that. We're a very small team. So instead, what we do is we provide pre-built reports to the university for the most commonly requested information in the format that's most commonly requested with the parameters and filters that are most commonly requested. That's not that doesn't solve everybody's needs, but it's the best that we can do. So we are continually taking feedback from our customers about what's missing from a report, what would make it a little bit better. And we put it on our to-do list and we get to it as soon as we possibly can. One of the things I love about the analytics portal is it's a secure way for an end user to retrieve the information they want without me having to run a list, download it, email it, or share it in Google or Dropbox or all of those other ways. They can get it themselves. It's fairly easy for an end user to use these reports. Might not be as fast as they want. They might prefer to have someone else do it for them, but we're really promoting self-service as much as we can. We do run ad hoc reports for critical issues that are happening, either new policies, new laws, new regulations, general studies implementation is a good recent example. We've been running lots of reports the last year off and on to address different issues that were unexpected that came up. So we do some ad hoc reports when it's a enterprise-wide university request, usually coming from either the provost directly or from the president. So this is our enrollment in records group page. Everyone with access to either student information in data warehouse or access to student records in PeopleSoft automatically gets access to this group. That's because we have such a large number of customers that come and go. Some of them are in entry-level positions, but they need to run one of these reports. And by the time they get access, if we were doing it the manual way with a form, they might have left ASU. So to keep up with it, we decided to tie it to access that those people are normally requesting already anyway. That means they don't need to request access. They just have access. Do any of you use any of the reports on this page or have you looked before? Okay, great, thanks. Um, the public face, not public, anyone with an ASU right, an employee with an ASU right can get to this page. And so we explain on it that access is automatic. You don't need to request access to this group, but you get access either by requesting the PeopleSoft role for standard student pages, which requires FERPA training, or you can request access to student information and data warehouse. And those are usually people like you that come to a conference like this who need to build your own reports or pull the data into your own data sets. There's links on this page to request access for either of those things if someone doesn't already have access. The thing I like best about it is access is automatically revoked when the person leaves ASU. We have about well over 3,000 users with access to this. There's no way that I could keep up with auditing that regularly. Also, people with access to standard student pages view in PeopleSoft, their access is revoked if they change jobs. So if they have a role in one department and a completely different role in another department that doesn't require them to do the same thing anymore, it's revoked, and they also lose access to this until they get access back with approval from their new supervisor. So for the most part, that means this data is kept pretty secure. I would say almost everything in this site is FERPA protected information. These are what I would call our number one set of reports. These are our most important. This is what my leadership constantly requests, and these are the reports that get distributed to the enrollment management teams, the deans and associate deans every week. But anyone who wants to can run them whenever they want. They're here, they're automatically running behind the scenes using Alteryx workflows, AUDB, all sorts of scheduling that TOPS takes care of for us. So these are what we call enrollment tracking. There's two groups of reports here. One group is term comparison, and that is comparing where we're at today for the current term or future term compared to the same point in time last year, with a percent differential that tells you if we're up or down in different categories. All of those are using snapshot data. The ones that say by campus means when you run the report, the columns will be by campus. You can still filter by college, division, department, major, all those things. The reports that say by college, all of the columns are by college. You can filter still by all of the attributes you want, but when you generate the report, all the columns will be by college. The reports under that are called current term, we couldn't think of a better name to describe that. It's not just the current term, it's the current or future, but all it means is it's not a term comparison. It's just, this is the data for the one term. Down at the bottom are the class funding reports. I'm not sure anyone runs those except the registrar's office. Those are headcount, SCH, and FTE, which we have been running for decades. These are the type of numbers that used to be reported to ABOR. I don't think they are anymore, but for comparison to where we are with prior years, we still run those. These are the most commonly run reports, or when someone asks, where can I get this number? These are the reports that we end up referring them to. The quick view has no parameters. You just click that link and the report will run. You don't have to, it takes a lot less time to run because there's no parameters. This is what it looks like. Can you read it? Just kidding. Yeah, this is a lot of rows and columns, and it's just aggregated data. This is an example of something that's not FERPA protected. It's aggregated. On this report, you're never going to drill down to an EMPL ID. This is a zoom in of the first few columns and rows. This is the report that is by campus. We categorize undergraduates and grads by what we call new, returning, and continuing. And then there's different categories for the types of new. So there's first year student, new transfer, new non-degree, new associates. And for grad students, we also divide them by new, degree seeking, new non-degree. And on the other report that was on the previous screen, there's a grad level breakdown, and that will divide them by education level. So you'll see master's, doctoral, professional doctorates are all separated. So you can get a more granular view of that. Every week, we send probably 50 reports. For fall, it's done on Thursdays because the first day of the semester is on Thursday. For spring, it's usually Monday. So this coming Monday, we're going to start sending all these reports for spring. This is just a screenshot showing you the parameters that you can use for everything except the quick view. So this is a term comparison. So you'll see you can pick either spring, which is the default now, or you can go back to fall. Sometimes there's 3 terms at a time there for summer. The session code lets you, clear. You can run it by session. You can run it by campus type. So you could get campus immersion or digital immersion. You can drill into a specific campus or location, college, division, department, and major. So all of those are cascading parameters, which are really nice, but unfortunately it makes these reports go a little bit slower because every time you select one, it's running a query in the background. But it does let you get pretty specific information. After you run the report, you can export it, the little save icon here. You can export it to Excel. It formats pretty nice. It looks good. You can almost just give it to someone without doing any editing yourself. You can also export to CSV or anything else. See, that's term comparison. So that was enrollment tracking. All of those reports are aggregations. I'll get to at the end, this last group of reports on the right is our training. And that includes step-by-step instructions as well as a video, if you like videos, of how to use the Power Query data sets, how to use these data sets in Power Query to create your own custom reports, however you want to do it. My colleague right next door, I can hear her voice, is doing a training on how to build your own report with that. So if you want to leave and go to that, my feelings won't be hurt, but yes, they will. Just kidding. Okay, so the next group of reports are students, and these are our most frequently requested. Someone asked, do we have a report for this? Do we have a report for that? This is usually where all that information is coming from. These are lists. Most of our customers want lists. They want the student's ID number, their name, their email address, their phone number, all of that good stuff. They want to know what their major is, what classes they're registered for. And they don't want to look them up one student at a time in PeopleSoft. They want to just get a list and do what they need. So these are all of our lists. We've tried to group them to make them easier to find, but it's probably not clear to anyone but us who live in this every day. What's the difference? So we're always happy if you want to ask on where's that data, or send us an email and ask which report has this on it. That's what we're here to do for you, to tell you which one has that. So these are general student lists. This is just the everything but the kitchen sink group of reports. You can see there's class rosters, there's a mailing list. There's a University Standards Committee petition list here. Everything that didn't go in another category is basically here. These are the 2 most frequently run lists out of this group. The class roster faculty center is pretty popular with academic units because they can run a list of all the students in all the sections, either by course or by class, or however they want to do it. In PeopleSoft, they have to look up one class at a time and get a roster one class at a time. So we have this class roster faculty center. We called it that because it has the same parameters and fields that are in the faculty center that is used through my ASU and in PeopleSoft, but it has a few additional fields as well that are not on those pages. And in addition, again, I'm not going to get into the details right now, but there is a data set that you can use in Power Query to build your own custom report if you need different parameters than what we have in this report. The other one is the enrolled students mailing list, and that is what it is. It's a mailing list. It has physical mailing address and it has email address and ASU Right. So this is just an example of what one of the reports looks like. This is the class roster faculty center. So you can see in this example, I just made something up. I ran it for fall for all of the sections of English 102 that meet in person. I mean, I could have got all the sections, but that's what I decided to do. And you can see it has 1,579 students on it. If a faculty member or a roster contact tried to do that in PeopleSoft, they would be there for days, if not weeks. There's a whole lot of fields on here. I've blurred out the personally identifiable information, but it has the instructor, the student's name, their preferred name. If someone needs to contact them, we always use that. Their major, their residency status, their plan code, their catalog year, ASU Right, ASU email address. It's all on there. And if grades had been posted, the grades are there. It's this column right here in the left right now. Final grades would show there. Oh, I want to go back once. Let's say someone says, well, this is great, but now I need to run it for everyone in English 102 who's in this particular plan code. This is where the tool that we have, which is for this, it's Report Builder, won't let you actually filter in the portal to do that. So our best solution for that is to export it to CSV, open it in Excel, and then filter it by plan code. Most of our data sets like this are too big to export to Excel. They get truncated, and too often people don't know that. They're not looking for it. And so instead of a list of 180,000 students, they're getting a list of 60,000 without realizing it all. And that leads to so many problems. So we usually recommend you export to CSV first if it's a list, unless you know well enough to check your row count before you export and after you export. Every report we publish has metadata in the new portal. New is in the last year. All of the metadata is at the bottom, so you have to scroll past the actual report, and then that's where we post all of this metadata. We give a brief blurb of what you would use the report for, usually based on who asked for it first. What did they tell us that they wanted this report for? We include the data source. Not all of our reports are data warehouse. Some of them are live data, so we tell you what it is right there on the metadata. We tell you what filters we've already applied that you can't change, so you know what records are included or excluded. We tell you what the adjustable parameters are, and sometimes they need a little more explanation of what it means. Sometimes we give you some notes about the expected results. We list all of the tables and fields, and then we keep a history of changes when it was published, when it was modified by different people. So in the example of the roster, the class roster, if you scroll down past that report, this is where it starts underneath it, and it goes on and on and on. So I can't fit that on a slide, but it's all there. We also do some reporting on international students to support the International Students and Scholars Center. So these are just some reports that they run periodically. Here are our reports that are based on major. So These can be run either by program or plan code or academic org, which is what we call a department at ASU. They're academic orgs in PeopleSoft. So a person in a department could run by their academic org code and get every student attached to that department. The reason there's so many different ones is half of them are major as of today, some of them are major as of the term start, and the rest of them can be different because of the parameters that allow you to filter before you run it. A completely different population will be returned. And then some of them are only listing students that are enrolled, and others will give you all students even if they're not enrolled. These are the most commonly run reports. Enrolled students in any active program as of today is probably the most popular one. The other one is students by major as of today, and this is the one that will list all of the students even if they're not enrolled. So future admits, all sorts of things are in there. And this is what the students by major as of today looks like. The parameters this one lets you run is either program, which is optional, and you can enter a comma separated list. In this example, it shows the undergrad program and the grad program within the same college. You can also list a comma separated list of plan codes instead. Maybe you want all the different plan codes that are math or applied math in all the colleges. You can paste them all there. That's optional as well. You can also filter by campus code. That's optional. The only thing that's required is a term code. When you run it for a particular term, all of the term related information, including enrollment status, GPA, credit hours, academic level, all of those things will be returned for that term. And if the student's not term activated at all those columns will be blank, but the student is still on the list. This report has a ton of columns. It's everything. Cell phone number even, it's all there. We have some retention related reports. We have this list of continuing students not enrolled with a flag that tells you if they have classes in their shopping cart, which means they haven't hit submit yet. The enrolled undergraduates data for retention, that is what it is. We list students dropped or withdrawn. You can put in a specific date and it will list students that dropped since that date. The most common popular report here is the FTFYS cohort with the current enrollment or program status. So you might have heard other people talk this week about cohorts. We track cohorts. That's important for our retention and graduation rates. This report you can run for any cohort, any year, and it will tell you the students' current enrollment, current program plan, campus, whether they graduated or not, whether they're on leave of absence, whether they're still enrolled. We have a bunch of reports about students and student groups. And then here's our graduation reports. We have lists that can be run for students who have applied to graduate, separate list for students that applied for session A. Did anyone know we graduate students in session A? Good. Then we can run students with degrees awarded by a particular term. And then students with degrees awarded by plan code, and that will be a complete set back to 1980. I should back up and say one more thing. These students with degrees awarded are Alteryx workflows that are being output to AUDB. We still have a few more steps to go to get it in the enterprise environment, but that will be coming soon. We're working on it. And then once it's there, you can use Power Query or any of the tools you like to get that same data. Next is end of term, other end of term things. We have academic standing every fall and spring. All of the colleges have to review students that are on disqualification. They have a few days to review them and request updates before we'll purge them from their future classes. Um, so that report is important for about 3 or 4 days every semester, and then nobody runs it again. We also have Dean's List. That's fun. So that's the list that can be used to generate whatever kind of contact someone wants to do for Dean's List. Then we have all these fun grade reports for students with financial aid. If their grades aren't posted within a certain number of days, that student's financial aid could be refunded, which is not good. So the academic units have to work hard with their faculty to try to get grades in before that happens. We also have courses and classes reports. The most common is the course catalog. So especially in the past year with the general studies, maroon and gold, that was a pretty often requested report. The rest of these I think are pretty self-explanatory. Course permissions audit tells you who gave an override and when, what type of override. We put the class roster faculty center in both groups because some people would look for it in one and one in the other. So why not just post it twice? It's just a link. We also have some academic plan reports. These are used often when someone wants to know either how many students are active or how long has it been since someone has been active in a plan. It might be time to discontinue that plan code. And last, on our group page, the last section is for training. And if you go into that section, there's a link to a separate page that has all sorts of great information. There's a step-by-step instructions how to use the data sets in Power Query, what the connection is that you need to enter for each one. There are recordings of actual trainings that have been done for those, and all sorts of documentation. There's also links for previous presentations that members of my team have done about this data. So like I said, sometimes these reports don't do what you want. It does almost what you want, but not quite. You can always contact us and ask what's the closest report, what has the most of the things that I need, and maybe we'll find something for you that has everything. We try to put everything that we can in the metadata that would help someone search to find reports that they need, but sometimes it's just a process of elimination. Just there might be 10 different reports that look like they might have it, and we have to go through each one until we find one that's the best. But we're happy to do that. We have helped lots of our colleagues learn how to export and then use Excel to create pivot tables to summarize, aggregate, filter, all of those things. We do that for everybody, not just in our office, across the university. We have showed people how to use Power Query, how to connect it, how to put filters on it, and how to refresh it. We spend most of our time on the BI desktop using either the old Hyperion Studio because we have 30 years worth of Hyperion queries that we don't have time to convert again. We've converted from Hyperion to Toad to SQL Server to I don't know how many things. We've converted so many times that we just gave up. We're just gonna just do what we can. We do use a lot of Report Builder, dbeaver, and like I said, we have several Alteryx workflows. So when we can, if the question is, how do I merge this data with this data? If it's not all in Power Query, then um, again, we've sat with people and taught them how to use VLOOKUP to merge two data sets. Um, it's not the most fun, but it works. We also are happy to send SQL to anyone who needs a starting point, or the BQY files. I am not sure how well it has worked when we've shared our workflows, but we can do that as well. And I am done before time is up. Um, so thank you for your time. You can ask questions and my team will answer either in Slack in all of those channels, or you can contact my team at urtech@asu.edu. One of us will reply, or you can contact me directly. I guess we have plenty of time for questions if anyone has any. Yes. Um, so the question was, is my office responsible for the data that gets put into iPads? No, at ASU, that office is called the Office of Institutional Analysis. But we do work very closely with them on the whole process behind the scenes. They are responsible for the information and they actually upload it. Sure, it's the Office of Institutional Analysis. You're welcome. Yes. I think the question was, how often are the data updated? It depends. Um, most of them are daily. Data warehouse is refreshed every night with a few exceptions. So the top of most of our reports will have a data as of date and time. We sort of pick whatever table we think is the most critical for the information for that report. There could be 20 tables, but we pick the one that's most relevant. And we tell you what time that table was last refreshed. And so you see a date and time. We don't tell you the date and time you ran the report. Instead, we're telling you the data is as of, pretty much. It's supposed to be automatic. Things break. Automation needs lots of people to keep it running. Um, so, um, so the current term reports are always updated that day, that morning, usually around midnight-ish. The data is as of midnight the night before. The enrollment tracking reports um, are based on the student profile snapshots, and the snapshots are taken on a daily basis, starting the day that enrollment begins for a semester, all the way until the 21st day of session B. So for fall, that was about a week ago. So up until a week ago, the fall numbers on the term comparison reports, which use the snapshots, were updating daily, automatically behind the scenes using Alteryx and all of the other automations. But as of about a week ago for fall, that data is only updated once a week because the snapshots are only taken once a week from now until the end of the term. But again, at the top of the report, it will say as of, and it gives you the snapshot date. So if you're ever not sure, it's going to say right up at the top. For spring right now, the data is updating every day. Sometimes on the weekends, at any point in that automation, something breaks and it's stale until we figure out where the problem is. Sure. Yes. Do you mean like enrollment comparison, enrollment tracking? The snapshots are available um, all the way, I want to say 2009 or 2010. The pre-built reports, the automation I described can only handle 2 semesters at a time. And it's really not two, it's 4 semesters at a time right now. Sometimes it's 6 semesters at a time. It's millions of records. So the pre-built reports that we publish here only are this year compared to last year. But in data warehouse, the snapshot tables do go back more than 10 years, 15 years almost. It depends. There's 5 snapshot tables and they each have different granularity. Um, yeah, some of them are, there's a snapshot table that's the student in the class. So it's 1 row per class that that student was in. So yeah, you're welcome. Yes. Oh, thank you for saying that. I'll let my team know. Yeah, at one point we said, well, why don't we just put the sequel there? Why not? Yeah. What is your team? Engineering? Oh, okay. Nice. Yes. Oh, thank you. Yeah, it depends. How far back do you need to go? Like current term only? Okay. Um, okay, so ASU implemented PeopleSoft in 2007, and all of the records from 1980 to 2007 for student enrollment are in PeopleSoft. However, the granularity of the individual classes and the instructors that taught them are not. That only started we only converted starting with 2006 forward. Um, we converted what we needed for a transcript and to process grade changes. So if you don't need to go back 20 years, the class roster faculty center data set, you could probably export and pivot or create a Power Query if you want to be able to repeat it easily, quickly. Um, there is another office that manages the instructor class funding, which is a completely different way of looking at an instructor's load. And the registrar's office has nothing to do with it. I know very little about it other than it exists. The provost office manages that process, and with turnover, I'm not sure who the current contact is. But you might search in the analytics portal for the words instructor class funding or ICF. There's an activity that academic units do at the beginning of each semester. I don't know the timing. I don't know the deadlines. But they go in and they review um, what department, academic org, and instructors funding is attributed to. And then the reporting basically rolls up to that academic org. But you can get to the instructor granularity with it. The data that my office manages is more about who can process the grade change, who was the instructor of record, and things like that. You're welcome. All right. I think Anything else? It's been really great. I'm not sure what else I can fill time with, but I guess I'm going to just let it end here. If you have any other questions, please feel free to contact me. Here's a really short 2-question survey. If you don't mind, I'd appreciate your feedback. And I hope you're having a great day at the conference. See you later.